Hey, this is Rabbi Shmuel Pollen. I want to welcome you back to the Light into the Nations show. We're going to do the deepest show we've ever done, and hopefully we'll only get deeper from here on in, and we'll take you to heights that you've never been able to reach before. This is called the deepest secret of all secrets, and it won't disappoint. It will change your way of thinking forever, and you will have a fresh new way of thinking that will bring you so much more success and love and happiness. We start with a question. How can you fit an elephant into your pocket without shrinking the elephant and without expanding your pocket? That's the question. Think about it for a moment, and you'll quickly realize that, at least in the way that you're thinking about it, cannot be done. Now, there's a Hasidic story of two men that came into the court of a great rabbi, and the first one said a bunch of explanations and logical arguments about why the other one owes him a certain amount of money. Then the rabbi says, okay, you are right. Then the defendant comes with a bunch of logical arguments about why he does not owe him the money, and the rabbi says, okay, you are right. Then the rabbi's wife comes from behind the bench and says to her husband, honey, this man said the opposite of what this man said. They can't both be right. And he said to her, you know what? You are right as well. Bring up one or two more examples of incomprehensible things, and that is the Talmudic debates. There was an oral tradition given to Moses when God gave the Bible at Mount Sinai, and it was passed down and written down by someone named Judah the priest, Judah the prince, and it is filled with thousands of debates of very subtle distinctions and sometimes not so subtle distinctions. And the question is, how did the Bible, it was so simple, wind up being filled with so many debates? And to further baffle us, the Talmud states that even though we may follow one opinion or the other, both opinions are the word of the living God. They're both from God, meaning they're both perfectly true, even though they're saying opposite things. Let's talk about the Holy Ark in the Holy Temple or in the Tabernacle. If you measure from one wall to the Ark, it would be 10 cubits. If you measure from the other wall to the Ark, it would be 10 cubits. If you measure from the Ark to the wall, it would be less than 10 cubits, less than 5 cubits. If you mark from the other wall of the Ark to the wall, it would be less than 5 cubits. So what happened? Depending on where you measure it, it either takes up space or it doesn't take up any space. How could something at the same time take up space and not take up any space? Let's give another example. We just had the holiday of Hanukkah, and we know that one cruse of oil burned for 8 days when it was only supposed to burn for 1 day. How did that happen? Did God make a miracle in that he refreshed the cup of oil with more oil so it could last longer? That cannot be. The Talmud rejects that suggestion because the oil of the tabernacle or the holy temple has to come from an olive, a real olive, not from heaven, not from a miracle. Maybe the fire didn't burn the way fires usually burn. Maybe it burned less oil than usual, and it was like the fire of the sneh, the fire of the burning bush of Moses, where God spoke to him and the fire did not burn up the bush. The Talmud says that cannot be either, because it has to be a regular fire for it to be kosher, for it to be able to be valid. It has to be a kosher, normal fire. And this leads to the big question. How could God, who it says Hashem Echad, he is one, be one with a world that is made up of quadrillions of atoms, and cells and molecules and DNA and animals and minerals and humans and stars and planets? How could it all be that such a one God could be one with a world like this, a world that is so diverse? Aristotle felt that it's not possible. You cannot get the elephant into the pocket. Anything that our mind cannot understand cannot be done. And Hasidic philosophy, Kabbalah, and the Talmudic rabbis always felt that God can do anything. He is beyond our logic. So even if we can't understand it, the elephant can go into the pocket. God made logic, he can transcend it. And the example is given of oil. Oil floats above every liquid and it permeates every solid. If we look at oil itself, it is a contradiction. It does two opposite things. It's called the etzem, it's called the thing itself. If we look at the thing itself, it's just oil. In a way, it's not really a contradiction. That's what we're saying. Oil itself does these two opposite things. That's what oil is. It's something that floats above and permeates. So this all seems confusing. I don't blame you. If you're confused right now, we'll make it all clearer in just a moment. I had learned the key to all of this in rabbinical school, but when I got out of rabbinical school, I learned a lot of things. And one thing that I learned made so clear what this key is and how to use it and how anyone can understand what I had learned in rabbinical school. That actually came from pickup artists. And whatever you think about pickup artists, it doesn't matter. Just an example. One tactic that they recommend is sharply disagreeing with something that the woman said, and then later, maybe soon after, giving an adoring compliment. So you're giving her opposites. And the logic was that a woman wants to feel strong emotions, and a man does too. We all have this. We want strong emotions. We want an experience of strong emotions. So, what really was going on with the negative feedback and the positive feedback? It wasn't negative and positive, it was just emotion, strong emotion. It was just an experience. And an experience can be coming out as negative or positive. It's like the oil, it can be either one, but it's the same thing. It's just a strong emotion. They're exactly one. This is the key to the elephant question and the key to our lives and the key to how God unites with this world. So it's beyond logic, and yet it's in logic. If we want to understand how the elephant fits into the pocket without the pocket being expanded and without the elephant being shrunk, we have to realize that the elephant is the pocket. That's the solution. That's the way you think about it. It's beyond logic. We have to think deeper into it of what an elephant is and what a pocket is. They're both solid. They're both in this world. They're both made up of atoms. They're both made up of molecules. But there's more. There's something that makes an elephant exist, a reason for its existence, a purpose, and a purpose of a pocket. And you have to think now. I give it over to you to think about how we can say that they're actually the same thing. How what an elephant does and what a pocket does is the same thing. And when we realize that, and we've totally unified that, the elephant will be in the pocket because they're the same thing. We also have to unify being inside the pocket and being outside the pocket. What does it mean to be inside a pocket and to be outside? And how are those exactly reflections of the exact same thing? I'll give you a moment to process that. I've given you the tools now. You can start to unify things. I've given you the key to unify anything that happens to you in life. We'll go along with more videos to apply it to specific situations. But we have to understand that the world is given life from the Holy Ark. The Holy Ark still exists today. And the whole world comes from the Holy Ark. So that means that anything you study, anything you find yourself debating, is going to be made up of two exact opposites. If you don't see how they're opposites, and you don't see both sides, and you don't see how they're one, you don't understand the topic. If you understand the topic, you're going to realize that it transcends logic and comes back into logic and makes those two things one. And you will realize how you can use both of them equally, and they're both good at certain times and not good at other times. So you will run into these contradictions everywhere, and some of the big contradictions are the things that are happening to you in your life. The trauma, the addiction, the anxiety, the depression, schizophrenia, the bipolar, whatever it is, the death, the sickness, it's all a contradiction. There's a contradiction between a good God and negative things. And the answer to it is going to be super logical, above logic, and come into logic as well. It's going to be realizing that they're actually the same thing. They're just strong emotions, for instance. That's just one example. It's going to be different for everything, but really the same. This means don't be just a communist. Don't be just a conservative. Don't be just a Keynesian economist. Don't be just a Smithian economist. Realize that you are right and you are right and you are one, and I will use you both. Like the oil, float above, be permeating within. This is the key to the redemption, to realize what things actually are. The etzem, that means what it is. It's the key to world peace. It's the key to unity between man and woman, between husband and wife, between ex-wife and ex-husband, between children and parents, between employees and employers. This is also the key to being able to do miracles like the miracle of Hanukkah. This is the deepest secret of all secrets. And I hope you will join me on the path to unifying the world through using this key, fixing the world, and making a new world, totally renewing the world into a world where miracles are as common as the sand is on the shore. I wish you the best. I wish you to play this video over again as many times as you need to really grasp what the etzem is, what the thing itself is, the unification that takes place above and within. And may it all, through all of us learning this together, as promised by the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic philosophy, actually as promised by the Messiah himself, that he will come. The Messiah will come and the redemption of the whole world will come when this knowledge, the knowledge of this key, this greatest secret of all secrets, will reach the ends of the earth. So pass this video along to your neighbor till this reaches the ends of the earth. Here with Jews and non-Jews learning together, we'll make this happen. God bless.